Hey everybody, we're back. I hope you had fun in the Jacksta Lounge or wherever you spent your break. It's time for our fireside chat. I'm super excited to welcome my guest, Andrew Jervis, who is the Director of Artists and Labels at Bandcamp. Hey Andrew, welcome.
Hey, how are you, Portia? Good to see you.
Good to see you. That picture looks just like you.
Good.
So, I mean, I guess there's people in our audience who could potentially have been living under a rock for the last year, but most people know that, you guys started something called Bandcamp Fridays. So why don't you just let those people know who don't know what Bandcamp Fridays were and are.
Sure. Yeah, there were parts of last year where under a rock was the best place to be.
That's a good place to be. I agree.
Yeah. Well, when the pandemic kicked in and lockdown kicked in, we knew that we had to do something for artists and labels, especially for those folks who were planning on touring and had album releases and, wouldn't be able to do all the things they thought they were about to be able to do for the rest of the year. And the idea that came up and the one that stuck was Bandcamp Fridays, just simply one day a month where for 24 hours we take no rev share at all. So whatever you sell on the site, you keep 100% of the proceeds. And, it seemed like a pretty simple gesture. We didn't really know how well it would do. Before Bandcamp Fridays, a good Friday for us, maybe $400,000, $500,000 on a really good Friday. And on the first Bandcamp Friday, I think it was $4.7 million was spent.
Wow.
On the second Bandcamp Friday, it was $7.3 million in 24 hours. And I joked, I posted somewhere on the socials that, our Bandcamp looked a little bit like one of those ramsack supermarkets at the beginning of the pandemic with just nothing left on the shelves,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've done, a little over a year's worth, obviously, by now. And the reaction has been way beyond what we thought. 800,000 fans have spent over $56 million on Bandcamp Fridays. And it's been really heartwarming to see, we get emails all day long from artists saying, hey, thanks, paid for the groceries, paid for the rent, paid for the mortgage. Or I was able to put out a live record that we weren't going to put out, and it seemed like a great kind of surprise, fun thing to do on that date. And other people took it another level. People have done fundraisers for great causes, whether it's a food bank or voters' rights organizations. A lot of money has been raised for really great causes on those days too, which was not what we intended. We just thought, let's just let people put a little extra money in the pockets of artists and labels.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's kind of like a pay it forward situation. Your philanthropic and charitable and kind gesture actually inspired a ton of other people to be philanthropic, kind, and charitable. I think a lot of the independent labels whose catalogs are on Bandcamp also chose to waive their rev share on Bandcamp Fridays. So they ended up, the artist ended up making even more money. So
Sure.
It was really, really an amazing gesture. And you guys are going to continue doing it, right?
Well, actually, there's a big announcement about that tomorrow because at the moment, the next event we have is actually Juneteenth. We don't do one on June the 1st. We did last year, but we decided that because it's so close to Juneteenth, on Juneteenth we take no rev share, and actually what we do is we give our rev share to the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund. And so in order to maximize that, we're not doing anything June 1st. People already know that, but we've not said what we're doing for the rest of the year, and we'll be making a big announcement soon. Tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow. That's very exciting.
Yes.
I love it. So cool. So, Bandcamp is kind of this hidden treasure in the music industry. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how you guys got it started and off the ground?
Sure. The origin story is really, my boss Ethan was trying to buy a record from a local band, and they'd got some fancy new website. This is 11 years ago, and 3 weeks later, having tried to buy this record, he's on the phone with the drummer, and the drummer's saying, "Oh, I just emailed you a file, the album," and he opens up the album, and it's like track 1 .master.mp3. It's just like a mess. And this is around the time that if you were a writer, you had all these tools, you had blogs that you could use, but there was no equivalent for musicians. And so just decided, well, this is clearly a something that needs to be fixed. And over the years, obviously, when we started out, it was the doors open for anyone and intended for those artists who had no tools, who didn't have a team around them. But slowly over the years, we broadened the tools and tips and tricks that we have to offer people, and more artists of varying sizes have appeared on Bandcamp, and all sorts of labels. So there are now over 10,000 independent labels on Bandcamp, which I didn't even know there were 10,000 independent labels, but wow.
I did.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the nutshell version.
Yeah, no, it's spectacular, and it's been super successful. I think it's provided an alternative to all the other services that are out there, and it had its sort of own community, which I think is also like an incredibly valuable piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely, and I think a big thing about Bandcamp is that community actually drives a lot of the sales. It's not so much Bandcamp recommending music to you, although we do have a great editorial team who do that. A third of the sales on Bandcamp literally come from fans buying something and then turning to other fans saying, hey, this is great, you need to buy this. So a third of $21 million a month in sales comes literally from fans recommending music to other fans, which you don't get on the other platform. And it's like 100,000 new fans signing up for accounts every month, and yet 70% of purchases every day are from repeat fans. So we're still growing at an incredible rate. And obviously, a lot of that is due to Bandcamp Fridays and the awareness that brought about Bandcamp. But those new fans are quickly becoming loyal fans, and that's really awesome to see.
Absolutely. So I can't remember. So refresh me. Were you guys digital first only, and then you moved into physical?
Yes, and now it's actually about 50-50. Both saw crazy growth last year. It's like 113% jump in physical sales and close to 110% in digital. Sold something like 2 million vinyl LPs, over 1 million cassettes last year. So yeah, over half the sales are physical and the other half are digital. And we'll see how that balances out. There's all sorts of, with Brexit and all that kind of craziness making life difficult for people, we're trying to do what we can. And yet also with things opening up, maybe there's more opportunity for people to sell more. So we'll see how it pans out. But weirdly, over the last year, it evened out, 50-50 digital, physical.
And I think that's particularly of interest to independent labels, because I think for independent labels, Bandcamp has been such a wonderful platform because people can make decisions on how, what they're going to press. Are they going to press vinyl? How much? Because of Bandcamp, because they can sell some vinyl on Bandcamp, of an artist that's not necessarily going to be, when I first started running Kill Rock Stars back in 2006, we still had a marketplace where you had a sense of how much you could sell of a given artist, even of a brand new artist.
Right.
And lately, it's gotten to this really weird place where you're like, I don't know, can we sell 100 copies of this, physical copies of this, 500? So it's been delightful to have, Bandcamp's been such a big part of that, ability of labels to bring their stuff into the marketplace.
Yeah, there's two other ways we can help with that too. As a label, you can set up subscription. So you can have artists subscribe to you directly through Bandcamp. And if you have 500 subscribers paying you X amount per month, then that you can sign that small band that's only going to sell a few hundred copies, because boom, you're already going to do it. They're already paying you for whatever you put out that month. And then secondly, we launched recently, again during the pandemic, Bandcamp Vinyl. So to take away the pain points of A, not having to put down any money up front, B, not having to worry about manufacturing and staying on top of all of that, and C, not having to worry about fulfillment. Bandcamp takes care of mailing out copies to all of your fans and to you and to distributors or stores that you want to have it sent out to. So that was another service that we felt like, people needed to have if you sell vinyl or any physical good on Bandcamp, you make at least 20% more than those artists that don't. And so any way that we can help people have a physical component, because the fans that come to Bandcamp are those kinds of fans. They want to open their wallet, they want to support you, they want something to hang on to read while they listen. So if we can enable more artists to have, a piece of vinyl, their latest album, or a pressing of a record that they never pressed to vinyl in the first place, we're all over it. And it's been rolling out this past year, kind of off and on with the beginning of the pandemic, but in picking up steam these past couple of months, and it's looking good.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your amazing editorial team, because I think that is not only awesome. I mean, they're great people and they're great writers, but it's also become more and more unique in the industry because we've gotten away. I mean, I sort of bemoan this on my podcast every now and then. We've gotten away from music criticism in the old sense of the word to sort of more like, PR, like music PR. A lot of the journalism that's out there is just really like light. It's journalism light. It's not really a critical environment. And I think what's great about your Bandcamp editorial is you have real music fans really talking about the music, and people care about what they have to say.
Yeah, well, part of this comes down to the fact that we've been profitable since 2012. So then that means we can hire an editorial team and not have to tell them, hey, look, ad clicks are down this month. You really got to ramp up the low-hanging fruit stories. And over the years that they've been doing their thing, they have found that they can build an audience by leaving no stone unturned and covering really interesting music from around the world. If it has a great story and it's a cool piece of music, it doesn't matter if no one's heard of it before. I mean, we'll cover household names, but why not cover the punk scene in a remote part of Siberia? If the music is amazing and it's a fantastic story and we've got cool photos, why not? Let's do it. So they're just enthusiastic folks when it comes to music, and they're not turned on by, how many streams have you had, how many this, that. That doesn't matter. What's the backstory? What's the community that you're coming from? How can we tie together a bunch of interesting dots here to kind of, relate your story to just a curious fan? These are the things that they're always looking for, and it's really served them well. Niche things become less niche, and we're able to, tell the stories of artists who may otherwise not get any love.
Exactly. And it's what the Bandcamp community really seems to me to be is people who truly love music and are curious. And so, I love seeing, going to the front page of Bandcamp and seeing like, what's the story today? Like, what's this song? What should I listen to? And exactly like you said, it's some punk band from Siberia, and you're like, yes, like I would never listen to this in a million years. I would never know. Right.
Exactly.
And so, this is obviously a dumb question, but, you guys don't use an algorithm, right? For any of your, like, you actually have human people picking.
We have a team of 6, 7, 8 people full time, and then they have a network of whatever, hundreds of freelancers, and we use Bandcamp. It ties in a way to the type of discovery stuff that powers that 30% of fans. The 30% of sales coming from fans, and that if you're a Bandcamp fan and you use Bandcamp in all the ways we recommend, then you use the music feed. The music feed is kind of like our version of Instagram. It's a roll-up of all the activity of all the fans that you follow and all the artists that you love and all the labels you're obsessed with, right? A label puts something new out, an artist makes an announcement, or a fan that you're following because you love their taste buys something. So we all use this. And it helps me staying on top of music. If I'm following a kid who works in a record store in Sao Paulo and he's buying music, he's going to know about stuff from that scene that I really like way before I can. So we use Bandcamp. That's not that it's a beautiful thing. And then obviously they're pitched way just crazy. I think Jess mentioned the other day that Jess gets thousands of pitches a day, which is nuts. Joe Keys, who's the Bandcamp daily editor, says he listens to every pitch that he gets. which again is crazy. I don't know how there's enough hours in the day. And we also have a form that if you're a purely independent artist, you're not on a label, you don't have a PR company working for you, and you want to pitch your release, you can fill out this online form and pitch your album. It's not for PR companies, and if people start using it, they're immediately blacklisted. But literally, if you're an independent artist and you want to tell us about your music, the team divides up all of the entries there. So we try to listen to everything, and we try to be proactive too, and take a look and see what's selling and see who's uploading what, and stay on top of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, everything you guys do, and I've sort of watched it over the years with great interest and with a vested interest, stake in, our music on my label is up there, it was up there, and it always has been. Yeah. And it's just, it's such a great platform that you guys have worked so hard to continue to make relevant and important and help artists. I mean, I feel like everything we are talking about at this event is all about, helping artists make money, and then what do you do with your money once you've made it, which is also another important piece to the puzzle. Sure. But if you're not making money, then you can't have a conversation about your taking care of your wealth because you don't have any. So this is like a huge resource and a great thing for the industry. Did you want to?
Sorry, we don't succeed if artists aren't making money either. It's not like we're sitting back and collecting, monthly payments from people just for being Bandcamp. We only make money when the artists are making money, and I think that's a reasonable model to push.
It is. It's a good one, and it's funny that it's not as as widespread as we might think.
We might hope. Yeah.
We might hope, exactly. So do you have anything, I mean, I know you have an exciting announcement tomorrow that we'll hear more about, but, is there anything going on coming up in 2021 that you guys are excited about?
Well, we launched Bandcamp Live recently too, and that started to take off, which is really great. Again, another kind of something we had to do during the pandemic to enable fans to engage with their favorite bands and vice versa. So you can sell a ticketed stream to a show that you either pre-recorded or you're performing live, and you have a virtual merch table so you can sell merch during the show, and that's just growing and becoming its own thing. It's really cool. Obviously it started out as something that people quote unquote needed to do during the pandemic because there was no going out and playing live, but now those opportunities are opening up. We're seeing people do things like album release parties streamed live, or a taster. We're talking about doing a taster of here's what my tour is gonna look like. It's a half-hour online version. Obviously we can't replace that feeling of being in a club and going nuts to your favorite band, right? But if you could do a quick half hour to fans around the world and say, hey, ticket sales are coming up soon, or here's a taste of my brand new album, seeing people start to do those kinds of things with the platform, so that's fun. We have a whole bunch of fan-facing things coming, which is great, because oftentimes I think people just think Bandcamp artist labels, but we made it possible for you to Chromecast your music, which is great. So if you bought a ticket to see a live show and you're watching on your phone, you can Chromecast that show now to your TV, and maybe your TV's hooked to a good system, that kind of thing. What else? Offline listening we just made possible, so you can download music directly to your phone now as opposed to any other system. And there's a lot of nitty-gritty stuff. It's that kind of year. We got to take care of Brexit and tax stuff and take down and stay down and all those kind of nitty-gritty things. And because of the success of last year, we've hired a ton of people. So hired a lot more support people, hired more devs and designers, and so we're going to be blasting through a lot of new features this year. It's going to be a fun year for sure. Oh,
wow. How many people do you guys have now at Bandcamp?
We're still fairly small. We're just shy of 100.
Wow. Because I remember when it was like 7.
Oh, yeah. Really? I was employee number 13. And for a long time, it was like, well, there's less than 30 of us. I remember saying that over and over. So, this past year, though, we hired probably more people than we hired in the first, 8-9 years.
Yeah. Well, and it's necessary now. You've grown enough.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we don't want Bandcamp looking like that ramshackle store. It has to be a steady ship.
Yeah. So how have you guys, I mean, this is just, we've just got a couple minutes left, but I'm just interested, how has your work space looked now that you guys are you going to go back to the office? Or are you going to stay remote? Like, have you given that any thought?
Well, we opened last year the store and performance space and office in Oakland, and obviously that had to be closed during the pandemic. And it's such a shame because it's in a great part of Oakland that was really starting to take off. There's a lot of great musicians and venues and record stores and just good music community stuff in that neck of the woods, and it's all been closed. I mean, most part of it's been closed for a year or so. I think we're hoping to reopen the office part of Bandcamp Oakland in late June. I think everyone is fortunately saying, we don't have to be there every day though. If you enjoy working at home, that's fine. We've always been a distributed company anyway, so lots Zoom and stuff is no big deal. Slack, we always used it. So for us, I think a couple of days a week, but really hoping we get to open the store and have live shows in there and open up the record store part of it at some point midsummer, late summer. We'll see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for all that you guys do. Bandcamp is fantastic, and thanks for coming on and joining us today.
Thanks for the opportunity, Portia. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. See you later.
See ya.